Hello, this is David D. Hilster. I'm your critical thinker, science dissident, and I'm here to tell you the truth about science. Something your university professors won't tell you, the mass media won't tell you, and certainly those physics and science evangelists won't tell you. Today we're going to look at one of those, what I call physics and science evangelists, Bill Greene from Columbia University, and he's putting on this World Science Fair. I think this is all, again, this thing that climate change isn't real and we are now getting away from science. So everybody's out there going like this and they're pushing Einstein, who's wrong. Other than that, and pushing science, that's wrong. And I'm not talking about climate. Forget about that right now. Not even on the topic, not even on the table. I'm not worried about that. That's not my area. Fine. But we're talking about Albert Einstein. So we're going to put him up on the pedestal again, even though he's wrong. So we're going to look at this little videotape. I thought today we'd do a little bit different and listen to what he says. It's pretty interesting because there's some real problems, what we could call assumptions here. And this shows you how invention comes on top of invention.
A description of the real world. There are a number of us who work in more exotic areas like string theory and unified theories who have seen evidence in our work that perhaps space and time are not fundamental. Perhaps space and time are what we like to call derived or emergent concepts. It's sort of like, we all know what temperature means. We know what it means for something to be hot or cold. But we also know that temperature is an emergent idea because there's a more fundamental description, which is this. Something's hot when its particles are moving really fast. It's cold when its particles are moving slow. So the fundamental idea are the motions of atoms, and the emergent idea is hot or cold, temperature. Maybe space and time are like temperature. They may be emergent ideas that come about based upon the configuration of something more fundamental. But if you ask me where the next revolution in science will be, I think it will be when we finally are able to pinpoint the actual fundamental ingredients that make up space and make up time.
You can see how happy I was there. Okay. He's saying there's something more fundamental than space and time. Now, we have to unravel this knot here. First of all, space-time is not space and time because space-time is a fabric. So space and time, those are two separate ideas, and what we call in our world of critical thinkers, in the natural philosophy society we talk about space and time being assumptions, things that we assume, assumptions are those things you can never prove. You just have to believe they're there. There are three dimensions, there's space, there's mass in space, and mass moves in space. That's it. That's all there is. With a space-time, you can't take space, which is a three-dimensional thing that has nothing in it. It has no mass by definition. Mass can be in space, but space itself has no mass. And time, which is our feeble attempt to try to measure movement. Now, those two things you can't put together and then bend it. Can't happen. So space-time, even as Einstein says it, has been disputed. Look at Dr. Dowdy from NASA, retired scientist. He says that the only time we see bending is in the corona of suns, and coronas of suns is like water. It's something there. There's something in space. That's why it bends. Outside of that, it doesn't bend. So we have this guy now saying that space and time, which are fundamental, will be forever. That there's something more fundamental than that, and it's the string theory. Of course, the string theory, if you do your homework, was invented. The people had no intention to make a physicality out of this. But what are these guys doing? They're working on their exotic theory. Remember what I talk about? Exotic. That means it's really hard. So what does that mean? That means you can't understand it, but we do. And it's exotic because it's beyond Newton. But the whole world in the universe is Newton. It's Newtonian. If you don't believe that, I'll have talks about that later on. We do believe that. But regardless of this, The idea here is to understand what assumptions there are. First, if you do say that space-time is a thing, name it something else, because it's not putting together space and it's not putting together time. That's not what it is. And if it is doing something and it is bending something, or it is being bent, or whatever, it's got to be physical. We never do that. Then you can't go on top of that, take a string theory on top of that. Was completely invented. The inventors in Los Angeles a couple decades ago, I remember, were horrified to think that people were actually making this into something real. So this goes on and on. You can't take something, not define it, something that's wrong. Albert Einstein's famous space-time theory is famous. It should be infamous because it doesn't work. There's nothing there that we can grab a hold of. And then on top of that, you're going to take an invented thing that was never physical and put it on top and say it's going to generate space and time. Are you nuts? Just shoot me. I can't take it. That's all I can handle for now. So remember, don't take what anyone says on faith, including this guy, Mr. Briane Green from Columbia. Don't take it on faith. Stay critical, stay thinking. I'm David D. Hilster, your science therapist. Ciao for now.